Former speakers talked a lot about transparency. Good information providing is important. It's a condition for good planning process, for good participation. And we in Holland, we as a company work on that condition using virtual reality to urban planning processes and e-participation stuff. Here in Germany, we work together with demos. A few things about ourselves: spatial planning agency, consultancy, but also technical virtual reality delivery, e-participation tooling. We're 35 employees right now, over 10 years of experience in Holland, both on national, regional, and local level on that. Some major points about spatial planning in Holland. Given the experience, little experience that we have in Germany, the visits that we've done to the UK, it's quietly different. Europe, in that case, is greater, is big. The difference between the countries are bigger than one should in mind. In Holland, spatial planning is very, very government-driven. The boundaries on what is allowed and not is traditionally very specifically put in by the local government. Local government also owns a lot of land, develops itself, also earns a lot of money on that. So there's a highly strongly government-driven spatial planning. Quality, sustainability, the next generation of Dutch also really matters. In Holland, government, we really like to do the things very well. The things that we decide for today should work the day after today and the day after for that. Seeking citizens, participation, it's common good for many, many years. We do that for different reasons. Sometimes a local politician does it because he wants it, because it's good for his votes. But in general, we do it seeking involvement, responsibility, and mental ownership. The things that Nick Booth also stated in his election. Participation. The participation ladder is probably all known to you on the right side. Different levels of participation. And we as a company use 3 laws, put it that way, of citizen participation. One of the success factors is to be very clear on the expectations of citizen participation. As well on the topic, what is it that we can talk about? What is it that we can participate in? Is it a complete alignment of a road, or is it just a sound barrier? And the looks of it, be very clear on that in front. Second, be very clear on the level of participation. What is asked? What is allowed? Is it informing? Is it consulting, advising, co-producing, or is it even deciding or co-deciding thereof? A very important condition to be very clear on that in front. Second point, it's been told by every speaker today, I guess, transparency, the information is very clear on that. The better the information, the better the planning making progress. And in that point of view, we also use a lot of virtual reality, which really, really helps the debate and the discussion on spatial planning topics. And, as we always say, online is very good. Use it. It has a lot of advantages. You can, it's accessible 24 hours a day. It's easy, but always use offline. Never use only online. Always use offline. The reason that we're here is because the personal contact adds so much extras. If offline wasn't necessary, we would do it by email and everybody stayed at home or at their office, but we don't do that. We stay here, we come here to meet, so always do that. I've brought with me one example of what we're currently working on in Holland, of an example of using e-participation and virtual reality. It's in progress, it's in development, so I can't show today the whole gadget and the whole process as a whole, but I can show you some parts of it so you can understand what we're doing. So you have to use your imagination a little bit on that. The case, high power lines, as in Germany, we all have that also 10 times less to do, only 500 kilometers. Highly populated area, and there's urgent to plan those power lines in Holland to ensure the service. So the question that TENET, the same TENET as here in Germany, asked us is how to ensure fast planning and citizen acceptance at the same time. And we came up with a solution on a 3-staged plan, 3 steps of a planning process and citizen participation in that. The first one is on the highest level of the ladder, co-producing. We'll gather a representative group of citizens, of people involved in that, to plan different alternatives for the alignment through the area. As stated before, you should be very clear on who to choose. It should be a representative of the population, of course, not only highly educated, but you have to be very clear on that. And with those, we go into a virtual reality mode. It's dark again. Let's see if I can change it a little bit. It was running all day, so when I started up, it was on the computer about 12. So it's now, was 7 o'clock when I started up. What you see here is virtual reality on its most. It's 3D, so you can move around, play around in a surrounding that everybody recognizes. Here there's already some lines projected here, coming from the right, from Delfzijl, a big power supply, rural area, and from there the line needs to go all the way down to the Netherlands in the Randstad near Amsterdam. What we do here is, and this is just an example of how you could do it, with the small group of people, we're going to make alignments. We're going to choose, okay, what would be a good alternative. Of course, you make boundaries on it, what is possible and what is not, for there the colors. And you just take your poles and you drag them somewhere. And with very good information, you can see the consequences of what you're doing. You can make an alignment, you can save it, and you can try to find another solution for that. You can play around, make it playful, make it fun, and it's recognizable. You can even, this is a true church, so it's a church of Ouderschip, everybody knows it. It's real virtual reality because in this case you can even move around with the church. In theory it's possible, but that are the boundaries that you have to give. Certain things you can't move, certain things you can't do, certain things you can do. So that's one of the major conditions. Be clear on the boundaries, on the topic of the participation. After having, with a group of people, defined some alternatives for the line, we put it on the internet in step 2. We go down one step in the participation ladder, advising. We put 3 or 4 or 2 alternatives on the website, once again on virtual reality, so everybody can see it from home, from their chair, look at it, and give an opinion on an alignment. But here's an important thing that we're going to do, and that's a challenge. How are we going to prevent that this will be an election? Because it's not intention to elect right now. It's intention with certain alignments, certain alternatives, to know what is good, what is not good, what is experienced as good, what is not experienced as good. So you gather information from whoever wants to say something about it, whoever feels involved with this. You get a lot of intel, a lot of information on the motivations of everybody that thinks he has something to do with it. Here you see it, 3 alternatives. On the left one, it's high in the sky with the poles. On the right one, you have to look a little bit closer. It stops right here, and the other one stops right here and goes underground. It are just 3 simple differences, 3 simple solutions for a spatial problem, for a spatial planning, and you could comment on that. A very big audience you get with it. You do it on the internet, you get a very good reply on that, and you get much more insight in that. When you've done that, you go to step 3. You have a lot of information about what people like, what they don't like, what they find important, what they don't find important, and you can put that in, how do you call it, Nick? Your big stove, your meal. Stockpot of social. It's a stockpot of ideas, it's a stockpot of opinions, and from there you can make your choice as a government, make a final alignment, put that once again on the internet, and ask people, again, from virtual reality-based e-participation on their opinion. We did that in Holland right now for a few projects. One of them is the highway N18, which I do want to show you something about it. It was, in fact, the first time that we did that. What you see here is about a road in the east of Holland, 45 kilometers road. It is not an e-participation, it's not a participation example, because the government already decided where do I want to put the road. They only want some opinions on, okay, do I like it or not, and can I move a little inch to the left or a little inch to the right. But the principle of putting it on the internet, using virtual reality, making the information accessible, making it clear to understand for everybody, works really, really well. We got 19,000 unique visitors using virtual reality, dropping a reaction. In the end, there were 450 formal reactions on the plan, but all 450 were within the boundaries that was set before, the conditions. So there was no one had to reply, I'm sorry, that stage was before, you can't have that comment anymore. Everybody got a good answer, and 2/3 of the 500 comments could have been positively answered to people. Good idea, I will change that in the design. So that's a very big success, a very huge success, because in fact there were hardly any real negative reactions on that. What you see here and what I'm doing right now is on the wireless LAN right now. So it works right now online. It's not a standalone model. This is the road that is planned there, and now we're coming to some graphical interfaces, and that's where it actually happens. People were able to, when they were here and they had a question on that part, just press the I, and there were some questions here. This one was quite a clear question in Dutch. How do the bicycles come from the from the one to the other side? And the government replied in a quite simple way and said, okay, look better at the model. There is a tunnel between it. And here it is once again. Question answer, citizens happy on the tunnel that still was there. Objectives, well, they're quite clear, I guess, what the objectives are of this kind of planning process here. More acceptance, faster planning process, cheaper planning process, and of course, a higher quality of decision making. We're very excited about what's going to happen with the three-staged planning process that we're developing now with Tenet, and we're implementing that just after the summer. Yeah, it's a way of experiencing things you have to learn. It was also, you said, a lot of times today, learn and see what happens, see what we come up to, how we gonna solve problems that we see. Very curious whether expectations will come out, what citizens think of it, and hopefully after some more than a year at the end, I will be able to present the same result as the N18 that I just showed you. One alignment with a lot of questions, but with a lot of positive answers and a lot of positive citizens. In that case, that citizens are positive in a way that they say, okay, I was informed correctly, I understand what's going on, I understand the decisions that have been made. I might not be happy with the decision in the end, but they do understand it. It's a feeling of fair play, and I think that's also one of the goals of participation. In spatial planning, you can't have it all, especially in a highly dense populated area. So give it a shot and make it fair play.